Hello everybody, how are we doing? Oh. Right, I hope you're all well. I've just been talking about Gallo watercolours. Apparently they're on sale at Jackson's. Come on people, don't do this to me. Jan says I'm not allowed any. I'm only allowed to use what I have. It's the cave law. Kind of did that to myself, didn't I? Hi Angela, nice to see you. Jan says, oh gosh, shirt. There's a wee story behind this shirt. Mr. Jem calls it my ice cream parlour shirt. He says, you know, if I worked in an ice cream parlour, this would be the kind of thing that people would wear. I bought this shirt just when we came out of lockdown, see when things started opening up again, and I went to a very well-known budget clothing store, shall we say, and it was on sale, and I paid the grand sum of £3.50 for this shirt. And this is the first time since I bought it that I've been able to get it on and get it buttoned up over my bust. So there you go. That's the story of the shirt. I really like it though. I like the colour. I really like the minty greenness. I think it's quite like summery. So yeah. Posh. It's definitely not posh. So happy it is WIP Wednesday. Yay! Hello Stephanie. Glad to see you. Oh, Jan's also saying that they're on sale for the next 2 days. The sale ends on the 9th. Shh! Stop it. You're not allowed. Nice shirt, shame about the brand. I don't often buy things from that type of place. I was actually, well, let me tell you a story about that. I actually will go into this shop, but when we were at the old cave, I was very close to Dundee, as I'm sure some of you know, and basically if I needed anything other than something uncomplicated, we couldn't get it locally. You would have to drive to Dundee. And I also used to have the PO box in Dundee, and I used to go and have to pick up the mail for the cave. And I made a point of when I was in the city, especially when the weather was crappy, which is like 99% of the time here, if there was anybody that was homeless or I don't like to use the word begging because that implies desperation, but I used to make a point of going into said budget brand shop and purchasing socks, gloves, woolly hats, just something of a very small denomination, not a lot of money, and taking those items to said homeless person and having a chat with them, rather than giving them money. I don't like to give money because you don't know what they're doing with it, and for a lot of people the reason that they're homeless is they've got addiction problems, especially in Dundee, so you're not actually helping them because they're just going to use that money to buy alcohol or drugs or whatever. Anyway, very long-winded story. So that was usually the reason I would be in said shop, and that was the reason I was in said shop when I spied this little bad boy. So yeah, there you go, that's my justification, Jan. The chat is important too, and that's the thing though. The very first time I went into Dundee, bearing in mind, I was used to going into Glasgow, and there are plenty of homeless people in Glasgow. It wasn't a novelty for me at all. But the first time I was in Dundee, and I just minded my own beeswax walking down the street, and I witnessed somebody spitting on a homeless person when they asked them if they had any spare change, any coins. And I was absolutely outright, like flat out disgusted. I really, really was, and I just couldn't let that slide. It made me like really, really like almost disproportionately angry. I could have maybe like swung for that guy. Just absolutely revolting behaviour. So I just decided from that point on that if I could offer a bit of kindness, I would, but in a practical way. So there you go. Thea's always willing to get a sandwich from a store. Yep. Well, another favourite here is, I don't know, Thea, if you've heard of Greg's. It's like a chain bakery that we've got in the UK, and they do things like hot sausage rolls and pasties and stuff. So I'd quite often go and get a coffee, and bacon rolls are always appreciated. I've never met anyone that doesn't like a bacon roll, unless they're vegetarian, obviously. So I'd quite often do that as well. But one of the things, like, you can never have too many pairs of clean socks, and socks are something that are small and easy to store, or you can layer them up in your feet if you don't have a way to keep them, if you don't have a bag or whatever. So socks was always a good option. Yeah, some people are just vile, they really are, Thea, like, honestly, disgusting. Hi Michelle from Calgary, Canada, nice to see you, thanks for joining us. Yes, oh, Patty, another kind of Canadian, yes. This Tim Hortons mug is ancient. This was bought for me by my very first farming boss. Again, I've told this story before. I knew this gentleman through him coming into the pub that I worked in as a whippersnapper at 18, and we actually became quite good friends. And when I fell ill, and I was trying to sort of get myself, like back up to speed, but I wasn't fit enough to go to work, I started working at his farm for him, and I ended up working for him for like 5 years. And when he went on holiday to Canada, he brought me this mug back, and to this day it's still one of my favourite mugs. It's the perfect size, and it stood the test of time as well. So, but that I'm assuming that's the really old Tim Hortons logo. We've got Christine as well. Hello, Christine. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming and joining us. So back to the conversation about homeless people, and Jan says, when I used to see them, I was never near a store, but I would always say hello. Yeah. Hello, Ulrika. How are you? What is in the mug? Right, okay. So let's talk about what's in the mug. We had a discussion in the Discord, that was a couple of nights ago, and Jan informed us that she started playing tea Russian roulette. So when she goes to work, she puts 3 tea bags in a bag, not with any labels or anything on them, and when she gets to work, she just chucks one in a mug to see what's going to happen. I did that earlier. So I had a peach and raspberry tea. I had a green tea and a Yorkshire tea bag, and I've ended up with the Yorkshire tea. But all good, clean fun. Obviously not opposed to Yorkshire tea at all because that's what I normally drink. So there you go. I hope that answers your question, Jan. Really enjoying the tea Russian roulette though, it's fun. Well, it's the only problem with the tea roulette thing is, and I know it's different depending on where you live, but especially in the UK, if you drink what we call not normal tea, like builder's tea, so like Earl Grey type tea, although I don't rate Earl Grey, but that's another story. If you have a bog standard cup of tea, most people will take sugar and or milk with it. If you're going to play Russian roulette with tea bags, you have to not have milk because you don't want to be putting milk into fruit tea because that would just be all levels of disgusting and wrong. So I don't normally drink black Yorkshire tea, but here I am. I do have sweetener in it though. I can't take black tea just as black tea. That's a bit rough for me. And I'm a bit concerned about how much it's going to stain my teeth. But yeah, here we are. If Thea's got 90% loose tea leaves, that'd be a problem with putting it in your bag. Yeah, just a rattle about. Oh, you like Rington's tea, Ulrika? Oh, okay. Well, Yorkshire tea is like the standard tea bag in this house. Bearing in mind that Mr. Jem is from the north of England, although he's from Lancashire, he spent a lot of time in Yorkshire, and he will not allow me to have any other tea bags, which I'm fine with because I like the Yorkshire tea. Just when Thea was saying about loose tea seems to be more of a thing in mainland Europe, and I noticed it when I went over to Sweden to see Julia. And most of their tea is loose, and she sends me tea sometimes as well, which is nice. Anyway, let's move on to actually doing some stuff instead of talking about tea and homeless people. So here we are. We've got Baasil's little rubber ringy dingy going on here. Ulrika, all my fruity teas are loose tea. It's the Twinings fruit tea bags I've got, and I've also got, weirdly, and don't judge, the Asda own brand fruit teas, and they're actually really good. Patty, Tetley or Red Rose? Tetley's a swear word in our house. That's just, no, we don't talk about Tetley tea. How's Evie doing, Patty? I'm loving all the photos that you're putting up in the Discord. Gonna get my pencils out. I'm actually like colour penciled out my bin today. That is the official Scottish terminology. I have started filming a video which required some coloured pencils, so I've literally been at it all day. I also started drawing some mushrooms while I was watching the athletics the other night, which I fully intend to expand on, but that's a little side project. I kind of want to do like a mushroom poster this year for autumn, and this is the start of something interesting. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. Come on, Jem. Put your spicy brain aside. Stick to the task at hand. Slowly getting there, Patty. Yeah, it's exactly like the thing is, in the scheme of things and given the situation, a week is absolutely nothing, and she seems to be doing so well, just from what you've said in the Discord chat and the photos and everything. I think she's going to settle in really nicely. Is it nice having a dog in the house? Are you enjoying it? Asked for a tummy rub this morning. Yes, that's amazing. That is so cool. Okay, so I want to finish off this rubber ring and at least make a start on Baasil himself. I'm not anticipating getting finished today. I'm going to rub out the light source lines. I don't think I need them now. I'm not anticipating getting finished today, but I do think in the next WIP Wednesday stream we will get finished. And my mission is to get these into sticker form as quickly as possible once that is done. So let's just batter on. So just a little recap here. We are in the Castle Arts Pastel Tint pencils for the moment, and I've been jumping between the let me just stick these under here. So the Wisteria, I've got the Polychromos Mauve, and that was like her shadow colour if you remember, and we've got Tickled Pink as well, which is actually more purpley than pinky. And the not to be confused with the Foxglove, which was the actual pink colour we were using for these spots here. So let's get down to business. I'm going to go straight in with the mauve. and get to work on these shadow areas. I kind of want the intensity down here that I've got like under this jawline and things, so that's kind of where we're going as well. I need to do something with this underneath the mouth part, but today I'm feeling it down here. Like I want to start down here. On the plus side, because I was using coloured pencils earlier, my hand is like substantially warmed up compared to normal. Well, I'll zoom in a little bit. This seems to be a little bit far away. Hang on a wee second, guys. Try not to make you seasick. Ooh, how's that? Better? Right, there we go. Cool. I'll deal with the spots afterwards. I just want to get like the main body of the rubbery ring down first. Thea has to throw in some cat stuff here. Nero is shielding his eyes from the sun with his hind leg. That's like a little bit of cat yoga going on. I like it. And he's doing it from the room light. It's not because he's out in the sun. Oh, that's hilarious. That's so funny. When we had Mist, my original female collie, she only had one eye, and when she was super tired, like see if she'd been out working, because we used to tag team the dogs. So if Mist was out in the morning, Mr. Jem would bring her in at lunchtime, and in the afternoon he would take Jock out, and it was just to rest the dogs properly. So if Mist had been out working in the morning and she'd done a lot of work, I would feed her when she came in and give her cuddles and pets and all the rest of it, and she would lie like flat out on the floor on her side, so like her front and hind legs would be straight out in front of her, but she would be on her side. And she always used to lie with her good eye down to the floor. And we realised after, because I was like, she keeps lying on the same side, and if she was on the wrong side, she would get up and like flop over the other way. And we realised she was doing it because that would block out any light, because obviously the side where she had no eye, there's nothing getting in there. So if her good eye was down on the carpet or the floor, it was basically like wearing a sleep mask. And she always lay on that side. It was really funny, and I was like, clever dog. Clever dog. She's funny. I loved her for stuff like that. The thing that gets me though, she was clever in so many ways, and then sometimes she was just like a complete moron. Like she used to fall up the step. In the original cave, there was like a step up from the kitchen into the living room, and she would regularly trip up that step, and it was nothing to do with her depth perception with her eye. She was just like so uncoordinated, and I could never get over. And I'm like, you can round up like 1,000 sheep, but you can't like maneuver yourself up one step into the living room. Just I don't know, beyond comprehension. Because everyone's like, oh, collies are so smart, and I'm like, yeah. Hello, Green Hat. Nice to see you. How you doing? The usual work interference. Stupid jobs. Stupid jobs. Maybe she did it for my entertainment. Well, I'm not so sure about that. But just when we're speaking about really cute dogs and stuff, Julia sent me a video today. Her family, they breed Griffon Bassets, which is like a hairy basset hound, but they breed them for tracking and hunting dogs, and that's something that her family have always done. And they have a gaggle of them in their house. And well, to be fair, there's one dog, and she's been my favourite since the day and hour Julia showed me a picture of her, and her name's Uni. And Uni is the most adorable dog, but she's got nothing between her ears. There is no common sense there at all. And they got Uni as a puppy, and she has recently just had a litter of pups. So Julia had sent me the video this morning of the puppies, and oh my word. But I was really concerned about Uni having puppies because she's just not the sharpest pencil in the box. And when Julia's dad tried to take Uni out hunting, you know, when she was old enough to go, uh, she went out and she had a bit of a jolly about for about 15 minutes and then decided she didn't want to do it and just went and did her own thing. That's the kind of dog that Uni is. She's also got the most amazing eyelashes I've ever seen. But Julia has been calling the puppies the marshmallows, and like, do you know about like the jumbo marshmallows that you get for like on a barbecue? So they're really big. They're like this size, so you can poke them on a skewer. These puppies, that they're square. They're so fat. They're only like 2 weeks old, and they're these just be this like these white squares that just happen to have these little tiny paws that stick out. So that was my entertainment this morning. But yeah, just talking about intelligent dogs, I'm so surprised. Uni's making like an amazing mum apparently, so I'm all up for some of that. There are marshmallows that big, yeah. Have you never seen the jumbo marshmallows? They're absolutely huge. I'm trying to think of something like that's similar size wise. Um, I'm like looking round the room for something that might be the similar size. They're like yeah, they're like maybe not as long as that, but yeah, like that. You know, they're chunky. In the UK, Thea, we can buy them in. You buy them in like a big pack. You know, and there's maybe like I don't know, maybe 15 in it or something. You'll know the normal size ones and the teeny tiny ones for hot chocolate. Marshmallows come in all sizes. Yeah, they are. They are. I mean, they're considered jumbo. Like they're. Oh, dropping pencils. Oh no. Oh, they're absolutely huge. Yeah, they're designed. They're designed. They're designed to withstand a bit more heat. You know, you can leave them on the barbecue or over a campfire a little bit longer than standard size marshmallows. Hello, Patricia. I have a clumsy cat that falls up and down stairs and off the couch. Okay, so it's not just limited to silly collies then. That like oh guys, the ads. That's 3 ads that I've skipped since we've started. Literally we've only been live for like 20 minutes maybe. That's crazy. I've just skipped that ad. I can't be doing with that. I haven't changed the settings or anything either. Okay, so can you see here what's occurring? I need to try and smooth this line out though, so that we've got this nice, because obviously this is an inflatable. I am going to add in, or I might add in a water line in Photoshop for sticker purposes, but I want the original image to be entire for the purposes of what we're doing. So I want this to be quite clean and smooth. That looks not too bad. You can see there, and it is something I'm very guilty of. See if I've got something in the way, I tend to let the line come up into a point. Can you see it here under where this leg's poking out, when really that should be smooth all the way across there. I don't know why I do it, and I don't know why it's a thing for me, but it just is. But that's something that I need to constantly work on and just kind of like keep tweaking. Hi Jackie, how are you doing? Jackie says, I think we're talking about the giant marshmallows as far as I can gather. They fit perfectly on a square of graham cracker for s'mores. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I actually only realised not that long ago that they're called graham crackers, and it's just because you guys pronounce it Graham and not Graham. Oh, Thea knows our s'mores. Whew. No, s'mores aren't. They're not a thing in the UK either. I think that's very much an American continent thing. Anybody else that's from the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, but or even Europe for that matter. But I'm pretty sure s'mores are more of an over the pond thing than a here thing. Okay. Now up here, I still want a wee bit of mauve, but not... It's not going to be as dark there, obviously, as the underneathy part, but we still need to... There I go with my technical descriptions again, the underneathy part. We still need a little bit of something something. Maybe that. Go easy with the mauve, Jem. The mauve. I was asking Mr. Jem earlier when he thought his next late harvest night would be. The weather is absolutely ruining us just now. Right now it's about 18 degrees and it's absolutely chucking it down outside, and it's alternating between coming down in buckets and bright sunshine. That's not good for harvest, so I'm still anticipating the pastel tint swatch stream, but he did say like hopefully within the next week and a half, but I can't vouch for any of that, honestly. Cloudy but dry for green hat. Yeah, Jan, you're not allowed s'mores. That's a terrible idea by anybody's standards. Okay, so just looking at this little section here, I wanted the seam to be quite obvious, but the resulting gradient from it needs to be gradual because this is a curved surface. And it needs to also blend seamlessly with the spots because the spots obviously don't protrude. They are printed onto said inflatable surface. I might even blend this out with a blender pencil. I know I don't use them very often, but yeah, I may well do that. But what I want to do there is, just while I've got a really pointy point in my mauve, I want to put in those little, you know, those the little inflatable lines when things get to like full capacity, and I can run that seam down. And but yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So good, so good, so good. Oh. Nice saying had them for the first time in the US, but the kids I met in the UK talked about them as well. Yeah, well, I mean, like I know what a s'more is, but we don't have graham crackers here, so although we do have giant marshmallows. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that there would be people that know what s'mores are, but not necessarily to make them or eat them. Ulrika, I'm entirely not surprised by your comment. It's humid in London, really. And you've got a giant fluffy again. This is why it's not a tidy bun. My hair is absolutely disgusting. I'm gonna level with you. It needs washed so badly. It was really warm when I went out first thing with the doggos this morning. I went out for like an hour's walk with them, and just as I was like on my way back to the house, so I was in the last like, I don't know, 10 minutes of the walk. That was when the first downpour arrived and my hair just went like this. And I thought, well, it's dirty, it's been wet, and now it's humid. Like, just like scrape it back, get it out of the way. So that's why we've arrived at this hairstyle today. I will be washing it later. I'm going to have a little bit of a pamper for myself later. I've gone into a little bit of a sort of let's look after Jem kind of mode. I've been super busy at work, although I don't work like full-time hours in my proper job. I've been really busy and I've been cramming a lot in, and when I finish work, see, by the time I get everything else done, I've just felt really knackered. And I'm kind of at the stage now where, like, you know, I want to take a wee bit of time for myself and just look after myself. And, you know, just give Jem some TLC. So I've got one of these. That is another advert. This is absolutely outrageous. And I'm like, I've got a face mask and everything. So I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to deep condition my hair. And just generally look after myself. Jock's throwing himself about in his bed. Are you okay? Usual cave configuration. I've got Jock pips elsewhere because that's what she does. Kind of want to darkly. I don't know what I was doing there. What was I doing there last time? Kind of add in a bit of mauve there. That's better. Felt that was really uneven, that little bit there. Okay. Let's move down to this section here. See, this is really uneven now because obviously I've brought this line further down to smooth it out. I've now got a wonky inflatable. Let's use the lighter pencil to kind of match that up again. Does that look better? Yeah, slightly better. Okay. Rain tomorrow though, sigh, and Saturday. Yes, I'm afraid so, Green Hat. The rainwater treatment, I know. Jan has given me permission to pamper. Thank you, Jan. Yeah, well, I've kind of, the other thing that I'm trying to get a good angle here. This way? That way, okay. I downloaded a whole lot of what are now called cozy games for my Steam Deck. I've been going pretty hard with Fallout and I just need a bit of a break from it. So I was looking for something easy to play that I could kind of dip in and out of, and I've got this real notion to sit with my Steam Deck and a cup of tea in my pyjamas with Jock and just play something really casual that doesn't take a lot of brain power. So I'd been on Reddit. I absolutely love Reddit for various reasons. Some of it's a cesspool, but if you get on the right Reddit threads, it's a very enjoyable place to be. And someone was talking about cozy games, so I downloaded a handful. I had like £20 in Steam vouchers, so I thought, well, why not spend it? So I gave a couple of them a go recently, and there's one or two that I quite like, and there's one that I haven't tried yet. So I would really like to just get some joggy bottoms on, get my face mask on and my cup of tea. I might put milk in my next cup of tea though, and just kind of chill out with the athletics, with the athletics on in the background. Although they're coming to an end now for the Olympics, but quite enjoying watching the Olympics. I always do. So that's kind of what I would like to do. Whether that transpires or not is an entirely different situation. But that's the adulting goals for this week at some stage. But 100% I will be washing my hair this evening because it's absolutely minging. Good Scottish word for it, minging. I've heard people mention Hades, Jan. I haven't looked at it. I haven't tried it. Jan's watching skateboarding in your lunch break. Watching the skateboarding is one of my favourite things. I watch all of the athletics. I'm obviously used to do and intend to go back to doing a lot of running, but always watch the athletics. But I've really been enjoying the canoeing or kayaking, whatever you want to call it, the down the rapids ones, and the skateboarding and the rock climbing. So I was watching the bouldering the other day, and that's crazy. But I love the speed climbing as well. It's basically running up a vertical surface, and the guys especially, I mean, they can go quicker from bottom to top than I can go on a flat bit of ground. It's absolutely insane, but it's quite the spectacle to watch. Even if you're not a person that likes to watch sports, watch the speed climbing because it is a human feat of genius. It really is. I'm going to have to fix this little leg. If this is inflated, although it's going to stick out like this, it shouldn't curve that much unless it's overinflated. So let's just straighten that out a little bit. There we go. And we'll maybe have a little bit of the dark side here, but not too much. How's that? Oh yeah, beautiful. I really enjoy this mauve pencil. I use it a lot. It is actually one of my default polychromos, and I've got no idea why, but I just really like it. I don't want this at the same intensity as I've got over here, but I do want this at the same intensity. I've got a much smoother line there as well now. Like if I just straighten this up a bit, you can see like that curve's a lot more sensible now than it looked 10 minutes ago. So that makes Gem happy. So of course it is a WIP Wednesday, and there are 22 people in the stream just now. So I would like to know from all of you guys in chat. Here's another advert. This is ridiculous. I'm going to check my settings because this doesn't seem right. I would like to know what you have with you if you are working on your own artwork while we're doing this, or whether you've got us on in the background and you're just toddling about doing your thing. Right, okay. Additional settings. Well, hello. Weird activity. No, none of this is helpful. I don't know if I can change this now. I don't know where it would be. Channel level settings. No, that's not what we want. Insert ad. No. Delay ads. Oh, hi there. Oh, I didn't know that button existed. So that's put a timer on that's counting down from 10 minutes. So I'm hoping that means that there'll be no ads appearing for the next 10 minutes. We'll see. Okay, yeah, right, that might work then. Let's try that and see how it goes. Obviously, when we've had this conversation a million times, I need ads in there because I need to generate some sort of revenue. But I will take it not being annoying. And I don't want to be that person that's got 7,000 ads in their stream, because that's not what we're all about. I might have to look into that a little bit further. Okay. So we want to build up, in the lighter areas you can see it's quite patchy and I've got the white of the paper. So we do need to start filling in those other areas. We just don't want to make them too dark. Again, I would rather do as much work as I can with the pencil. I can tweak it in Photoshop. If you're playing the drinking game, that's your first one. But I would rather do as much work as possible with pencil rather than mess about with it in the digital format, because I hate it with the fire of 1,000 suns. It is a necessity though, unfortunately. I can't really do much. This needs to be light, but I can't. So the seam that is quite dark here, because this curves up and round and we established that the light source is coming this way, this needs to be lighter. So this wisteria pencil, I'm going to sharpen this up, get a really pointy point, and I'm going to try and put that seam in the way I have here, but just with a really light pencil, and we can worry about it further down and we'll join them together. Have a look. Hades is just running about killing and then being killed, but it's full of humour. Nah, that's not really cozy gaming, Jan, though. That, you know, the kind of games I'm talking about are one that Ms. Saurus and I have been playing is A Little to the Left, and it's basically like arranging things. So it might be like lots of junk and you've got a couple of drawers and you have to kind of arrange things in the drawers like a puzzle game. There's no time limits on the levels. You know, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Hades is for when I'm angry. Like one of the things I love to do, see if things have been very, very stressful, sometimes I just need shooty things. And if I want to do that, one of the games that I play a lot of the time is Dead Rising, and it's basically like a zombie shooter, but it's like hordes and hordes of zombies. It's not serious. The last one that I played, it's set at Christmas time in a shopping centre, so you get things like candy canes that you can beat zombies around the head. Like that, it's all very silly, and but it's just like an energy release thing. It sounds as if Hades might be in that sort of category rather than cozy gaming. Jan, damn it, missed the climbing. It's amazing, like rats up a drain pipe. That's exactly what it is. Thea hasn't watched any of the Olympics. Well, that's okay. Well, it's not for everyone. Patty's sorting pencils, I approve. Thea's got a colouring page. Daria is colouring in Christine Karen's Wildflower Folk. Female face. Do you know, it's funny you say that, Daria. I'm going to scoot over. I'll be back in a wee second, but I've got something to show you. Where did I put it? There's stuff going on down here. Right, genuinely, without a word of a lie, let me zoom you back out for a wee second. I found this the other day and I actually forgot that I owned it. Daria, you'll remember this colouring book because you've been colouring for a long time. This was, like, there was a huge singing dance about this. It is the most beautiful colouring book if you like colouring faces. And it's all, I'll just, the images are just absolutely fantastic. The line work is second to none. It really is. And there's so much detail. I have done very little in this because I don't like anything to do with humans. True to form. But this is a stunning colouring book, and I found this when, as I said in my update video, that you know, I was looking to kind of like rediscover everything. This is literally the only image that I have coloured in this entire book, and I did this years ago. So this is one of the books that will be included in the, well, I mean, everything's included in the, you know, the rediscovering of the supplies. But I mean, look, this one's meant to be like a statue, so if you didn't want to use flesh tones, you could go for like an ivory or a green or a blue, like really desaturated palette. It's absolutely stunning, this colouring book, and there were people paying obscene amounts of money for this because it was really difficult to get a hold of. It is an odd format as well. I want to grab... Why do I not have an A4 sheet of paper? Well, there's A5. So A4 would be 2 of those. So if I did that and flopped it over. So it's slightly bigger than A4, and it's got this lovely landscape format. Absolutely beautiful book. But you can see, I mean, I didn't pay the silly money for it. I got it before it got really popular, but so much in there, and literally haven't touched that book for years. So you go, Daria, and maybe we could revisit this. That might be something that you would want to do. I don't know. You can tell me. Jackie is doodling with a fountain pen. Responding to work emails. Love it. And Michelle is making a quilt, so I'm in the background. Oh, that's great, Michelle. I'm glad that you like having me on in the background. Marilise is working. Working. Ulrika is sketching from one of her old photographs of a cobbled street. Oh, that's exciting. And so is Angela's. Angela's drawing a dragon flag. Oh, you guys are amazing. Okay, we've got another Michelle. Hello, Michelle. The other Michelle, nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in and making a wee conversation in the chat. You bought that for your sister for her 60th and she cried like a baby. It was like people were hankering for it and it became really difficult to get. And people were charging mental money. I mean, I remember seeing a listing on Etsy, and I want to say that might have been maybe 2019 or 2020, and someone was literally selling a copy for like $60 US. It was absolutely crazy. I think they're out of print now. Please don't quote me on that, and if anyone wants to educate me or correct me, I would be happy to take it. But yeah, they were really, really difficult to get a hold of. And people were paying absolutely insane money for them. Just trying to get us a good shot so we can get back to work. There we go. So back to my wisteria pencil now. Jock started snowing again. Marvellous. I'm just waiting for the day, and it's going to happen, that his snowing's going to get so loud that it overpowers the stream. Michelle said it was around 120 Australian dollars, so that would be, well, we're not quite, oh god, yeah, that's a lot of money. Dear Lord, that's crazy money. But I have to say as well, the paper in the book is like chef's kiss. It is so, so, so good. It's a very high quality colouring book, aside from the fact that the artwork is absolutely stunning. Okay, kind of work this along here now. So let's get this line in now. So I'm pressing really hard and I'm just going to tail off because I want to join it up with the mauve. So you can see that I've got quite a hard line. I need to fill this bit in a little bit, but then I can do the same. So pressing quite hard there. We'll just get a couple of lines in. Chalk snoring is absolutely outrageous. I think the method that I'll use here is I'll take the mauve and I'll do the same as I did with the wisteria, but flick in the opposite direction. So press hard to start with and then let it up. And then what I can do is blend that. Yeah, managed to keep a good line and everything. To be fair, I'm pretty surprised that I managed that, honestly. You know what my hand's like? It's not the best for stuff like that. That was a bit of a gamble, but it's paid off. So when I'm thinking about these lines as well, because it's curved this way, I have to think about these little pucker marks and like the direction that they're going to take. So when we're like face on like this, they're going to be fairly straight up and down. But if we want to see the curvature, these ones have to go more in a C shape. And these ones have to go more in a backwards shape. Again, little details that I'm not that bothered about, but just trying to, you know, keep thinking and keep everything fairly sensible. Nothing's ever sensible here in the cave. I mean, we're putting a sheep in a llama floaty for Jesus Christ's sake. So, you know, pardon my blasphemy. There's only so much sensibility you can have, and we've had this conversation many times with anatomy. Nothing on Etsy. Yeah, I don't think... Right, see, now there's an ad running again in a minute's time. I literally don't know what to do about this, guys. Postage was 40. Okay, so that was 120 Australian dollars, but that included the postage. So it was $80. That's like 40 quid. Holy Moses. Colour Cool Craft Book had it on Etsy for $35 US. And I's already had the ad. Like, I don't know what's going on with the adverts, guys. I'm really sorry. That might be a thing. Right, I'll just let this ad go, guys. I'll just let it do its thing and we can worry about it later. It's really difficult, and despite obviously being a YouTuber for 6 years, I've not been streaming for 6 years, and I do want to find a nice balance between making a little bit of money off the streams, which to be fair I really don't. I mean, I do it more for the jollies, you know that anyway, and I don't seem to be able to find that balance. It seems to be either you can have really aggressive ads or you can have no ads and not make a single penny. Neither of those options are appealing to me right now, so it's a work in progress, a bit like our Wednesdays, so okay. Now, I'm missing this light area completely here. It doesn't look totally out of place, but I'm not entirely happy with it. What I'm going to start doing now is these lines, I'm going to call them the pucker lines, but I'm going to start kind of building on those just by using little strokes, just to kind of add to this texture, because that's nice. We do like a bit of texture here at the cave. And then these ones will start to face backwards. That should have really finished at the tail. Just extend. That's fine. And do the same on the upward stroke as well. Jan's boss is in a Teams meeting but is desperate Desperate to go to the loo, he's threatened to use the plant pot next to him. What kind of team meetings do you have? Although, tell you a funny story. I had Jan's told him just to go. I had there's a meeting that I sit in on a Monday morning. Not my favourite thing to do. I'm not even directly involved with the people that are in this meeting, but there's a new sales manager in the company, and I work quite closely with the sales team because this is from a proper job, obviously, because I try and encourage people to take up disease testing for their herds and try to get what's right for them. So they've brought in this new sales manager and he's absolutely fabulous. Like, I love this guy in a completely platonic sense, like in a career sense. And him and I are very much cut from the same cloth. He's a little bit older and I came from the old school basically like the old school team of sales before I did my degree. So him and I are very much on the same page. So he was like, oh yeah, I want you to sit on these team meetings on a Monday, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh God, right, okay, but okay, I'll do it, it's fine. So that's been okay. But on Monday, he said to me, can you hang about after the meeting, Jem? Because there's something else I want to speak to you about. Now, I had been out harvesty stuff like all weekend. I was out really late. I was stacking bales. And I was like hanging together by a thread on Monday. And I'd made sure because when you have a Teams meeting, we've got to have our video on. You're not really allowed to join without your video unless you've got a really terrible internet connection. So I'd kind of like straightened myself up and made myself presentable. But after the team meeting, and I went into like just hit the sales manager and he's like, Jim, your left eyelashes hanging off. Now, I'd had these false lashes on for about 5 or 6 days. I've got these ones that you can keep on for like up to a week because I find that mascara really irritates, a lot of brands really irritate like the lining of my eye. So I was trying out these lashes, totally forgot I had them on, and little did I know one was like poking up at an angle. So that gave us a bit of a giggle, but it was one of those ones where I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this anymore. But I mean, he was really cool about it. It's not. He's quite a laid back guy, so it wasn't really a thing. But it was just actually really funny, and it's so uncharacteristic because you guys know I'm not vain in any way, shape, or form. And you're lucky a lot of the time if I've got any makeup on at all. And I just thought to myself, I wonder what this poor guy thinks of me that I'm wandering about like in a tractor with overalls on with false eyelashes on. But I genuinely forgot I had them on. It gave me a chuckle afterwards anyway. But it's fine. All right. Oh, we're still on the chat about Serene. 50 Canadian dollars on Etsy, 1 copy and 5 baskets. They might not ship outside the US, and that's why I can't find it. Well, again, it'll depend on the Etsy store, I suppose. Jan's guy that needed the toilet in the Teams meeting, he nipped to the gents and Teams meeting bloke has still not responded, so all good. It's a meeting with our network provider. Oh God, that's even worse. Hi Elise, how you doing? Nice to see you. They're in China, okay. Sartorial Elegant. Tractor glam. Well, do you know what? There is a positive side effect of it, and that is that when you've got, I mean, I don't wear what I call, you see, right back a bit, you see maybe the younger generation, maybe not millennials, but you see the younger generation, and when they wear false eyelashes, it's like what I call the cow lashes, like they're really thick, they're really full, and they've got this like insane curve. And it's really obvious that they're really wearing false lashes. The ones that I wear are quite subtle. There isn't much of a difference between them and having mascara on, which is what the situation is just now. But in days where my eyes are irritated, I find it easier to wear the lashes than wear mascara. So that was kind of like that's the basis of it. But if I didn't say anything, unless they're falling off, obviously you wouldn't know You know, you wouldn't know that I'm wearing them kind of thing. And that's why, like, I genuinely forgot I had them on. But I said to the sales manager, I said, I don't know why I bother, because the cows don't even notice them anyway. And he just started to chuckle away to himself. But the added advantage is when you have a layer of false lashes on and you're working at harvest, it's a very dusty environment. And even when you're in your tractor, you've got the air conditioning on. Obviously, the air is circulating and it circulates the dust particles as well. And when you're wearing false lashes, it's just like the cows, you've got an extra layer of protection. And what I found was that all the dust was collecting in my eyelashes instead of going into my eye. So you know that there's a good reason for it. Not the reason that I intended, but a happy side effect. But yeah, I thought that was quite funny as well. It's like, oh well, you know, we might as well take advantage of this. But I see, I just trying to think about it from his perspective. He must be like, this woman's a lunatic. Like, she's sitting in a tractor and she's got full eyelashes on. Like, I'm not like that at all. I slope about in like jeans and t-shirt. I'm not that kind of gal. But, you know, I just want to extend this nostril a little bit. I've just changed the face shape a wee bit there. I felt like it was just a bit, you know, I know what I mean. I think you guys know what I mean. Elise says you'll laugh, I'm a redhead, so my eyelashes are blood and cannot be seen. Your eyelashes are blood. What does that mean? You just mean what? The red? Yeah, Michelle, that they're basically dust filters. Yeah. Okay, I don't know whether I'm happy with this or not. I think I'm happy for now. Let's start on Baaasil. So I'm going to pop away the or do I want to do the no, I think we should get Baaasil on the go. I think I want to put away the pastel pencils for now. I'll work on the spots later. I would just like to get the outline of the image finished. That's how I'm feeling about it right now. So with Baaasil, if I would just take a moment to refer back to, this is the blown up version of the sketch image on the previous page. We decided that we're going with a Suffolk. So to get the outline of the body, it just makes me laugh just looking at that. So let's do that first. So I'm going to go, I might as well just grab a grey pencil. So let's go cold grey. In fact, let's just go Payne's grey. So I'm back to my polychromos here, and I've got the Payne's grey. I'm going to give it a wee, it's got quite a pointy point on it, but I just want to give it a really, really, really pointy point. Oh, blonde. Sorry, of course. That I don't know why that wasn't obvious to me. You're tired this morning. You are completely excused. Yes, so you look as if you don't have any eyelashes at all. I had this conversation with Mama Jem this last wee while. To put it into perspective, Mama Jem's original hair colour is actually darker than mine. She's like almost black haired, but not quite. Although she's got blue eyes and a very cool pale skin tone, which obviously I take from the Italian side, I take from Papa Jem's side. But as she's gotten older, because Mama Jem's in her 70s now, and everything's kind of like paled out, so her eyebrows are quite pale now, although they were very dark when she was younger. And she's still wearing black mascara. And my mum has got amazing eyelashes, like, oh my god. And she started dyeing her hair blonde when most of her hair was silver and not dark anymore. She graduated through the shades from really dark brown, and she's kind of like a honey blonde now. But because of this, and because her eyebrows are really light, she was wearing this black mascara. And it is a bit like I was saying about the sort of younger generation and the cow eyelashes. And I kind of said to her, like, tactfully, it wasn't meant as a, you know, as an insult, but I said to her, I was like, you might want to think about going a lighter shade of mascara, because your mascara really, really stands out, especially because she's got blue eyes, and they're like the bluest of blue. You know, you might want to go to like a brown mascara rather than a black, and she's taken that on board. And the last time she visited, she's also changed her foundation because her skin has got paler as she's got older. She's not out in the sun as much anymore. And she said, we were having, it was just like a random conversation. And she said to me, she's like, oh, my mascara and my foundation. And I looked at it, I was like, I didn't even know you had any makeup on, like, at all. So it obviously worked. So at least you might want to try like a lighter mascara. Do you do that already? I don't know. When Elise was learning to put on mascara on the ends would touch my lids and my eyebrows, so I cut them. Oh no. Oh yeah, people pay for eyelashes, yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Right, let's get this little foot on the go as well. Oh, there it is. I've kind of got that in at the wrong angle. I'm gonna have to fix that. That should be the angle there for that foot. We will correct it, we'll be fine. But let's get the feeties in. I'm keeping these a fairly simple shape. I think they have more impact as that sort of cloven hoof. The reality is that sheep feet don't look like that when I was talking about turning them on their back last week. It's not what it looks like, but for the purposes of what we need it for. When it comes to the fleece, we want to get as close to white as possible, and the best way to do that, especially with our polychromos, is this beautiful pencil. Oh goodness me. Oh no, it's missing. Where is it? Panic. My ivory pencil is missing. Where did... Oh, it's over here. Just scoot over a wee bit. Woo! I'm really enjoying wearing this shirt, guys. Like, I can't express this enough because I've wanted to wear this for so long and I haven't been able to get my bust into it. The other thing that I noticed today as well, my watch, it's always the same watch that I wear, I've got like a rubber strap for it, and that's for when you're exercising. Obviously it's sweat proof because you can change the straps out on these watches. And I haven't had this dress strap, this metal strap on for probably the best part of a month, and I can get my finger in there now. This was so tight that it was leaving an imprint on my wrist, and I put it on today and I was like, oh, that's waggly, like it's loose, and that secretly pleased me a wee bit. So there you go. Like, shirt wins and watch strap wins. What more could you want on a Wednesday apart from live streaming with you guys? So I was talking earlier about this C shape. That's basically what I'm going to do around the edge of the fleece with this ivory pencil. I want there to be some colour there. And generally, sheep aren't the cleanest of animals, so they tend to have like a tint on their fleece anyway. So they're very rarely pristine white, apart from when they're lambs, when they're absolutely adorable and, you know, all that good stuff. But when they get to be big smelly sheep, it's not the case. So let's pop a little bit of that. This is just for an outline just now. We may even see a little bit of that there, because we want them to be quite a rotund ovine. So let's do that. That just gives me the outline. So this is like the pale pencil equivalent of a fine liner. And we can get the head shape in as well. Again, I think I'll use the Payne's Grey for this. So I talked about this kind of like flat part of the head, which is a feature of the Suffolks. And they don't have pointy ends to their ear, but they do like come to a tip a little bit. So we want to make sure we've got that in. Do that there. And then with the face, I want to be very careful here because I think I might want to change this a little bit. But I want to get that basic shape down just so that I can colour round it basically. So this means the fleece is going to come up there. We don't want them to look humpbacked, but we want the fleece to be super. It's also, you know, I've also realised as well, you know, we were talking about, and if I just come back to this drawing here, about something living in his fleece. I don't know where his left arm is or his front left foreleg. Can we have an idea of where we want to put it maybe? Thea made her therapist laugh with a dyslexia hiccup last week. Whenever that happens, I say it's my tiny dyslexia coming out to play. This is something that I can't comprehend, right? Honestly. Obviously, very good friends with Julia, and I am trying to learn some Swedish. And with English as a first language, the thing that you struggle with in Swedish is the augmentation of the vowels, because they do not pronounce vowels the way you do in English, but they have so many like modifiers as well. You've got like an umlaut type, so the two little dots, but there's also like an O that goes above the letter as well. So it changes everything, and although the sentence structure and everything's the same, see when you screw up the vowels, which makes up a lot of letters and a lot of words, it totally throws you off. I am very literate in English. I'm a good writer in English to the point where I've had like stories published, and I am struggling so badly with the Swedish. And there's people like Thea here who is dyslexic and English is her second language, and her English is perfect. Like, honestly, tip my hat to you guys. And Julia's the same. Julia is also dyslexic, and her English is like, it's so, so good. And you put the rest of us to shame. Like, you really do. You really, really do. Absolutely mental. But again, the culture in other European countries, unfortunately not in the UK, is they tend to learn English as a second language from quite an early age. When I was a whippersnapper, I know that was a while ago now, we only started to learn a second language at secondary school, which is like 11, 12 years old. Whereas in Sweden, Julia says they start teaching kids English when they go to school. So that's like 4 and 5 years old. No wonder everybody in Sweden speaks really good English. Hello, Susan. Were you anywhere? Did I miss you? Did you tiptoe in? You might have done. Susan is allergic to makeup. Twice your daughter's tried to do my makeup, both times end up... Right, that's interesting you say that. There is a lot, like a lot of products that my skin and my body does not like. I've got other allergies as well, Susan. And over the years, it's been like, like a process of elimination. There are very few cosmetics that I can use, and it's one of the reasons I don't wear a lot of makeup. It's just not worth it. Like, it's really not worth it. And that's how the false eyelashes came around. Although I don't present as a person that would necessarily be the type of person to wear false eyelashes, especially if I'm going to like something like what we call a posh do, you know, if you're going somewhere quite upmarket and you have to be dressed up. If I've got to be there all night, it's much, much easier for me to wear false eyelashes than it is to find some sort of mascara and eyeliner and all, you know, all that jazz. But there are a few brands that I find that agree with me. One of them, unfortunately, is Max Factor, and it's not necessarily a brand that I align with, but I can't find another mascara that is okay and like my eyelids like, so you've got to make special allowances. But I think the key is finding out what it is in the cosmetics. Like there will be an active ingredient that's causing the reaction, and you have to find out what that is if you've got any chance of, you know, sensible makeup wearing. But I totally feel you on that one. Like I really, really do. Thea's dyslexia is just tiny. Mostly mixing up numbers or letters. It's not that big a deal in my case. Yeah, and you still do incredibly well though, Thea. Please don't downplay your talent of the grasp of language. Because that's one thing I will say when Thea and I are when we are talking back and forth on Discord or whatever, you know, doing cave stuff, I do not augment the language that I use at all when it's in text form for Thea. Like I type the way I would like text my friend or my mum, or you know, and Thea has like zero problems interpreting it and answering things and responding in text. So yeah, I think you're a very clever little clogs, Miss Theosaurus. Green Hat's embarrassed by a lack of a second language. You go a bit pidgin Spanish and that's it. Well, that's a start, Green Hat, though. But what you've got to realise is for us in the UK, that's standard. Like, you're not an ignorant person for that to be the case. It's the society and the way that we've been brought up. Thea saying that they start early in Austria too, from about 8, 7. Yeah, exactly. Jackie's got sensitivity to mascaras as well. Yeah, I would highly recommend. One of the things that I had to do, Jackie, was I had to investigate the see the adhesive, like the glue that goes on them. I had to get like a vegan, like plant-based unicorn dust adhesive because the ones that comes in like the pre-packed lashes, that my eyes were so itchy, like they were streaming. The other option is the magnetic lashes, and they've gotten a lot better, I would say, over the last 3 or 4 years. They're really fiddly to put on, but once you get the hang of it, they're really good as well. So highly recommend just doing a bit of experimentation. Oh, Ulrika's just had a message from a friend saying her area has apparently been targeted by fascist rioters this evening. Oh, oh, Ulrika, I'm so sorry. You'll be firmly indoors. Please stay that way, Ulrika. And I know it's ridiculous, but you've got to stay safe. Absolutely crazy. I did notice there was a a post again on Reddit, and the group is the Reddit thread for Glasgow, and basically people were saying that they were trying to organise protests in Glasgow in amongst all this ridiculousness. And the person that had posted this, I don't know whether it was one of the admins, basically said, if people try and come and do this in Glasgow, we are going to get everyone together, sod the police, and we're going to kick your asses, and we're going to boot you back down to wherever you came from, because we don't tolerate it. We don't tolerate racism. And this is basically been blown out of a few comments that have been made on social media, so don't bother trying because we're not entertaining it. And I've never felt, I'm not particularly patriotic in the fact of being Scottish on account of having some quite heavily influenced Italian lineage. But to say that I'm proud of my people for that, I'm like, yeah, and do you know what? It might not be lawful, but the police have only got so much they can do. And Glasgow have basically just stood up and said they're not tolerating it, and everybody can F off and go back to where they came from. And we're not talking about immigrants or people of colour, we're talking about the people that have organised these protests. So I was like, yes, okay, good. Ulrika worries for your friends who have businesses nearby where the immigration resource centre is. So not cool. Like I was talking earlier about being disgusted about the homeless gentleman that I was talking to that had been spat on. This is like on par with it. I can't believe how out of hand this has got. It's absolute madness. Absolute madness. Like really, I detest all this with the fire of 1,000 suns. I really do, really, really do. Be kind to fellow man and research and back up what you're doing before you do anything crazy. And most of the time, it's not a sensible idea to do anything crazy anyway. That's just my point of view, though. I don't want to get political or anything. I try to avoid it in these kind of streams, but this is pretty big, and I hope everything's okay, Ulrika, and I hope your friend's okay too. Going back to learning languages, Susan's kids started French or German at 6, but they both chose to do Spanish at high school and ended up confusing them and counting half in one language and half in the other. Again, this is a standing joke. The Swedes regularly talk in Swinglish, because nearly everyone speaks in English and is capable of speaking of English, and they've just kind of like jammed the two languages together. So Swinglish is a thing. So I've said to Julia, like, if I can learn to speak Swinglish, I'll be really happy, let alone Swedish. But that is real. Yeah, that's a good point. I was actually going to ask you, Jan, if you'd had any involvement in this. Jan is a police volunteer, and she's saying that she's just been warned to remove all mention of this on social media, and make sure that the uniform's well hidden, obviously, just in case you get targeted. Yeah, live and let live. Absolutely. Like it's beyond ridiculous. Like it really is, and I get pretty pissed about stuff like that. Like just stop it. Like we're trying to improve ourselves as the human race, and all these people are doing is dragging us back to like you know, 40 years ago. Like, come on, people. Right, so we're talking. Let's talk about happier things. We'll go back to our fleece, and we've got the eye situation. So I think we should go with the sunglasses, and I'd picked out like a blue color. So let's go with the mid phthalo blue, and we'll map out these heart-shaped sunglasses so that they're at the right angle. I should do this in graphite first. I don't know, the sunglasses thing just tickles me so much, and I don't know why, but I enjoy being tickled, so I'm not complaining. I'm trying to, there we go. I thought I was going to have to rake through like mountains of graphite pencils there. So the glasses are at a slight angle, which is why I'm turning the page. So let's, I do want them to protrude slightly across the face. Got to get the heart shapes right, guys. Do you remember me saying about taking the time at the sketching stage? That's where we are. Oh, I think that's damn near perfect. And then we'll put the bridge in with the coloured pencil. And we decided that the legs have to go up over the legs and lugs. Okay, cool. So let's just fade that out a little bit. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to get a really pointy point on this for this. Pointy, pointy point. Marilise, it sometimes worries you as an immigrant. I honestly wish that you didn't even have to think about that. I really, really, really do. You mean sheep don't wear shades? Well, I might be wrong, but in my experience, only the cool ones do. Yes, Ulrika. Only the cool ones. Right, let's see what we can do here. I'm not pressing hard, but I just want a really nice defined line, which goes against everything that my hand wants to do, by the way, people, but say my hand's in pretty good shape today for a change, so I will take full advantage of that. That's another ad. Like, can I just have a little bit of chat in the chat, please? That's another ad coming. Is it just me, or are they really, really frequent? Is anybody getting pissed off with it yet? Let's do this. Okay. We've got the shades on, so I'm now going to thicken this up. Again, trying to keep that nice smooth line, and I'm pressing quite hard. You know, I want this to really pop out because it's going to be, you know, shades of black around here. So we want this to pop out. And the phthalo blues are perfect for this. Oh, that was pressing a wee bit too there. My bad. Let's do that though. Yes. How's that? That's a nice pop of colour, isn't it? I think I want to thicken the frames around the lenses up a bit. But maybe not the legs. Oh, got a bit carried away there, but that's okay. Yeah, happy with that. Daria's had at least a dozen ads. Yeah, they seem to be really frequent. Ulrika's not had any. Oh, that is a lot, Daria. Michelle has had 2, but they're 5-second skips. Right, okay, that's good to know. And actually, I've been skipping them. I've skipped at least 3, but they were right at the beginning. Yeah, okay, it's not great. Like, I don't know what I kept the... I see, I'm in this like catch-22 because I can't get rid of them completely, but I don't want it to take over the stream, because that's not what these streams are all about. Like, we're just chilling out today, having fun. I will investigate further, I promise. So I'm apologising now if they're irritating you. That part of the problem for me as well is as a YouTube viewer and consumer, which I am, I've got premium, so I am completely blind to the whole ad situation. Daria says, I think it's just because yours is such a favourite channel. Okay. Flattery will get you everywhere, Daria. I meant to ask you, have you been playing much golf, Daria? But you haven't talked to me about your golf chat recently. And I have I wouldn't say a vested interest, but I do have an interest coming from someone who grew up in a golfing town. Because the Open was on at Troon, did you know that? That's, like where I'm from, where my mum and dad stay. Two entering the video and two during. Hello, Cara Marinas. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Please don't apologise for being late. We're here, and if you can join, that's marvellous. Right, I think what I want to do now is work on the sheepy face a little bit. So I'm going to stick with the Payne's Grey, and I'm going to get the sort of basics of these shaded areas in. So this is going to be very similar to the original sketch. I'm going to take a lighter grey as well, because this is the Payne's Grey and the Polychromos. So I'm going to, in fact, I might need to get my swatch book for this, which is, it's all the way over there at the packing station right at the back. Right, I'll tell you what, guys, it is nearly 4:15. I'm going to take a short break. There's another ad just about to come up. This is ridiculous. I'm going to take a short break just for a couple of minutes. I'm going to go and check on Pippi, make sure she's okay. And on the way back in, I'll grab the swatch book and we'll talk about the grey pencils. So please talk amongst yourselves, and I know I'll come back to talk about food in the chat, but that's okay. Just give me a little minute and have a wee chat amongst yourselves. It'll be fine. There we go, I'm back. He's in the middle of trying to fix tractors. So I was like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. Let's catch up with some chat then. Rain this morning, this is Daria, so you're here instead. Golf game is fine for me, but nothing to write home about. Well, that's okay, as long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing. Elise says chatting is difficult, so I will just listen. Okay, Elise. Yeah, if you're tired as well, that's okay. You're good. What coloured pencils? I'm mostly in Polychromos Caramelinus, but I was using the Castle Arts Pastel Tint pencils earlier for this purple area, along with Mauve from the Polychromos set. Jan says her boss has gone home, so you've got one chat window to deal with. Yes. Wow. Ulrika's snack is an apple. Good for you, Ulrika. Daria only watches the women's golf. It's so much more relatable. Well, yeah, I understand that. Hello, Patricia. Nice to see you at 20 past 10 in the morning. A very respectable time to be joining us. Thank you very much for coming. Daria's looking forward to the women's golf in the Olympics. I wish I could say the same. Like, I'm all good. If someone wants to take me for a round of golf, I'll go. I did try golfing for a wee while, coming from a town that that is known for golf. But see, to watch it, I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't. And I like watching sport, like I do. Michelle doesn't have any plans for today other than working on your quilt. Well, that also sounds like a good day. Oh, Rika, apples don't upset your tummy after your dodgy knee. Oh, bless. Speaking of a pastel tint, Thea's found hers. I think your supplies are looking a bit like the cave, honestly. You don't even remember them. Oh no, that's terrible. Oh, I just went through to see Pippi there. She's been a little bit off the last couple of days. She was off her food for like a day and a half, and that is very uncharacteristic of the Pippi. And I was like almost, but not quite, getting a little bit worried about her. But she's returned to form. But when I went through, she was sitting at the door into the kitchen, and it's because Mr. Jem had sneaked in to make coffee. Because I kind of thought she like maybe wanted out or something, but no, she was like Mr. Jem. I was going to get the swatch book. I forgot about that. Hang on a little second. Oh, it's here. Good. I thought it was over at the other table. Oh, right. So just talking about the Polychromos Greys. Someone had asked me, I think it was an email now that I think about it, but they'd asked me for like a walkthrough of my swatch book. So when I have this like mythical impromptu pastel tint swatching stream, I will go through my swatch book and you can anybody that's interested can see what's in it. I'm not really sure why that would be of interest, but I'm happy to do it. Right, so here's the greys, and just scoot myself back in a wee bit. This is the Payne's grey here, so I want something that will transition quite well, and it seems to be that the cold greys are the way to go. So I'm quite tempted by Cold Grey 3. I think that is the way forward. I've just looked at you. I keep looking over here because that's where the monitor is, you know, where I can see what I'm actually doing. And I've just realised I really need to file my nails. They're really square and long again. It's because I've not been doing much outside in the farm. So let's go Cold Grey 3. I think that's a good idea. That's 4. Where is my Cold Grey 3? Oh, there it's there. Okay, good. Just give this a wee quick pointy point. Yeah, Patricia, unfortunately, because I live in a rural area, my internet is not entirely reliable. And it's just one of these things that I literally can't do anything about it. So with stuff like that, it's better to ask and see whether it's something to do with, you know, the general YouTube-ness, or whether it's just the fact that I've got hillbilly internet. But it usually sorts itself out within a few minutes. We've been quite lucky. I've got another ad notification, guys. I can't handle this. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm skipping this one. Go away. You need a pointy point sticker. You're not the first person to say that. It's something I've been contemplating, but I'm just not. Yeah, okay. I need to figure it out first. I don't have a vision in my mind for a pointy point sticker, but I will definitely think about it. Death Rose 9 just popping in to say how great it's looking. Hi, thank you. Thanks for mentioning in the chat. So let's do this and merge this in with the Paynes. So if I just refer back to said image, I know this was really rough, but these are the highlighted areas are here, here, and then the tops of the ears probably on this point here as well. So that's kind of what I am going to be working towards. Anyway, so we'll use the Cold Grey. I kind of want to take away the top of that Payne's grey line, just like fade it out a little bit. Again, not the best to erase colour pencil, but for what we're doing, that's going to be fine. That is going to be a-okay. There's surprisingly little food chat while I was away, guys. I'm impressed. Again, down the face, let's start with the Cold Grey. We can build it up with the Paynes. But this side's probably going to be darkest. But we have to get this nice graduation. Because although I like to be anatomically correct, it is not really appropriate for this drawing. But we do want to still get a sense of that. So let's do that just now. Now, the thing is, I'm trying not to get this too curved, because if you look, if you Google Suffolk sheep, the males especially, they've got quite a big square snout in the grand scheme of things. So we do want to still have that, but we don't want it to be too pronounced, or else it'll end up looking like a dog with big ears. And nice saying she refreshed the page and it worked here for breaking the sound. Yeah, that seems to be a good tactic for you, all of you, when things start to go wrong technically, is just to refresh it. So highly recommend. A good shout, Nye. So I really want to accentuate the fold in the ears, because literally the Suffolk's ears are like that from the top down. So let me move this pencil case out of the way. You think I had hardly any desk space the way I'm carrying on here. I'm going to drink the rest of my cold tea. My very cold and black tea. Good chat, I had that with your boss before we went home. Thea had an idea for a pointy point sticker. Permission to send picture over later on, Jem. 100% granted, Ms. Soros. Please feel free. It would be interesting to see if it aligns with the sort of foggy ideas that I've got floating about. Oh, cold tea, especially black cold tea. Like that's tea drinking's supposed to be like a pleasant pursuit. This is it's not, but I don't like leaving tea in the bottom of the mug, so I'm gonna drink it. Right, okay. So we've kind of got the start of a head shape here, and then we're going to get this rounded off a little bit. Back to the C shape that I was talking about. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of like a little bit in love with this. So back to my Payne's Grey. We're going to start working on what's going on here. I do want the same contrast and definition that I've got on the eyes and eyelashes, but I want to build up to it. So very slowly, and it is, as the phrase goes, slowly, slowly catch a monkey. But we're not here for quickness. Obviously, live streams are the last place for instant gratification. If you want that kind of thing, you need some YouTube shorts or other social media service that is associated with that. You're not going to get any of that here because this is all about process and furthering our works in progress. Do the same down here. So the folds, obviously, I'm going to go in the opposite direction to this one. Loving how that phthalo blue is standing out though. That's just amazing. Makes me happy. Beautiful. Do you know, that's really funny, Elise, you saying about living in Malden. I know nothing about the intricacies of the geography in that area, but as a person who has played Fallout, one of the Fallout games is set in the Boston area, and I have heard of Malden because of that, so I kind of know where you are, which is really nice. I always like to try and connect with people. Obviously that's why we do live streams. But I am aware because when you play games like that, it leads you to look up like the proper geography and what's in the area and stuff. So I am aware of Malden, which is real nice. So Boston sounds interesting though. It's I've just got a notification on my phone and it's Theosaurus. She's sending me things, Thea. But yeah, it's nice to learn about because like basically we get bombarded with, you know, like America. Everyone that lives in the US thinks that, you know, oh, everyone else is insignificant because their states are bigger than some countries. And we kind of like lump together, and I might just be speaking for myself here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but we tend to lump together like the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest, as being very sort of homogenous, so to speak. And Boston tends to be overshadowed, in my view, especially in media, by the likes of New York and, you know, etc., etc. And I've learned quite a lot about Boston, and I've also learned about the Bostonian accent, and I think I mentioned this once before. And it is such a weird accent, but I kind of like it. Okay, so this is what I'm aiming for everywhere. This is goals right here. And that's just jumping between the Payne's Grey and this cold grey, both in the polychromos. So let's work this out. And saying something that makes me sound totally 100% like a farmer, I absolutely love Suffolk sheep's ears. Like they're my favourite thing about sheep. And I don't have a lot of favourite things about sheep because I really don't like them. Like I really don't. Oh jeez. Right, so I've just put a tiny little layer. So following on from that trend, I'm going to go back into my pencil case and I'm going to grab the cold grey 1. So that is the palest cold grey. Let me just find it. And this is literally just to take away the bite of the paper. That is all we are doing. This also needs a sharpen. Let me just, I think I'll go for a 4. I don't need a totally point. Ooh. Jem's Discord is going to buzz now. Jan's just happy to be finished work. The Last of Us sure nasty. Patty got lost in downtown Boston, have a phobia for driving there ever since. Boston and Lincolnshire accent on the other hand, yeah, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Right, so I've got, anyway, less of Boston. Back to the cold grey, and I'm just going to smooth out what's going on here. Oh, it's so, yes, that's so satisfying. Smooth it out. It's almost like using a blender pencil. I've just smudged that. Damn it. Damn it. But that is what we need. Look. Yes, yes, yes. I do want to take the 3, the cold grey 3, just bring it up a little bit. I'm curious as well, can you hear the rumblings from the bird feeder? Mr. Chaffinch is back. I don't think it's the same Chaffinch, I think it's a different one. But the bird feeders, 2 of the fat ball feeder that hangs in the cherry tree, which is like out in the garden, but the one that I've got at the window as well, there's nowhere near the level of activity that was at the end of April for obvious reasons. But Mr. Jem kindly pointed out that people have started harvesting, so the birds have to change their cafeteria. And we've been busy and up again. But I'm just like, obviously I can hear it, but I just wondered whether the mic was picking any of it up or not. I find it very unobtrusive now though, because I'm so used to it. Like I don't really hear it anymore. But I'm very conscious, especially now that we have a new mic, which is wonderful, whether that is apparent on the stream especially. Obviously I can cut these things out when I'm editing videos, which I haven't done much of with the new mic, to be fair. But if you can hear it, I would imagine that if you can hear it, any of you that have got headphones in would probably be more likely to hear it. Isn't it funny how one event can alter your view in a city? Michelle's asking me why I don't like sheep. They're stubborn and never do what you want when you want. I have worked with sheep for many years, Michelle, and the part of it is the sheer stupidity level. And my grandfather used to say, as soon as a sheep pokes its head out, meaning when it's born, it's looking for a place to lay down and die, as in it's looking for somewhere to go and die in a corner. They don't have the best survival instinct. They've got very little common sense, and they're awkward to work with if you like your knees. And I have never met a shepherd over the age of 45, which in the grand scheme of things these days is not old, who doesn't have 2 knackered knees. There are many reasons I don't like sheep, and I say this quite often, you know, when people ask me about your lifestyle and what your husband does and where you live. I would take like 1,000 cows over 50 sheep, like I really would, just because of their sheer stupidity levels. Like I can't cope with the stupidity. I just don't like them. They're smelly, like they're absolutely freaking adorable when they're lambs, and if you've got like a pet lamb, they basically follow you around like a dog, and you can teach them where to go and what to do. And then they turn into big smelly sheep, and it's as if they lose like 50 points from their IQ automatically. They're just awful creatures. Really, really, really don't like them. Can you tell? Like, just no. Oh, God. Boston is more like Chicago. The rich grow out of the blue collar so much. It's more down to earth and about neighbourhood and family. So it's quite a community oriented place then. Would that be fair to say, Elise? You can't hear the birds. Okay, no birds. Patty says not a thing, but not wearing headphones in my street is a construction zone central. Well, that might be part of it then. Yeah, okay, no birdies. But you heard my phone buzzing. Darius, like, tell us how you really feel, Jeff. Honestly, I have very strong feelings about the sheepy situation. How do I feel about goats? Well, goats are they're much cleverer than sheep. That's the first thing. I had a bit of an aversion to goats until I met Mr. Jem. For those of you not in the know, Mr. Jem's parents stay in the south of Ireland. The farms in the south of Ireland are very, very small compared to like mainland UK. And my experience of goats was not particularly positive. And when I first met Mr. Jem, the first time he took me over to see his parents, you know, like meet the in-laws kind of thing, I was kind of converted, honestly. I like them better than sheep. I don't like them as much as cows. The first time that I met my in-laws sheep, this when you've got a leather watch strap, you know how you normally have the buckle and then there's the flap that you tuck in to the little bit that goes across here. I lost that and the flap up to the buckle the first time I met their goats. It just got chewed off. They eat everything. They are not particular, and they will eat things that will hurt them and make them sick. So yeah, I was always very wary of goats, but I like them a lot better. And the in-laws goats are very much like, they're more like pets than what we would say is like commercial livestock. So they yeah, I've got a bit more of affinity for goats. I don't hate them, that's for sure. They're much easier to herd than sheep as well because they've got a little bit of common sense, but still very much herd animals. So yeah, no, I'm okay with goats. My in-laws have Toggenbergs. They're quite interesting to look at. Have a wee Google at that. Would I want goats? Maybe not. That might not be for me. But yeah, they're kind of good fun though. They've definitely got personalities, and something that tickled me was the in-laws have slowed right down now. They are in their 70s, but they still have a couple of goats. And when they used to have like a sort of bigger herd, every year when it came time for them to have their babies, which is kidding, not to be confused with having a joke, they had a letter, like they went through the alphabet every year. So say like 2010 was the letter E, then 2011 would be the letter F. So when I visited them, then they were on to the letter G, and I jokingly said to my father-in-law, "You do realise you're going to have to name one of the female kids Jem?" And he only went and did it. So I do actually have a goat named after me, which that was acceptance into the family right there. So I just want to talk a little bit about this light source again. I remember we're coming from this direction, so I want to get a shadow under the sunglasses to really show that they're kind of like sitting off the face, because obviously human sunglasses aren't designed to sit off a sheep face. There's a sentence you never expect to speak out loud, but you know. So in there with the panes, and then I'm going to grab the cold grey. And we'll just smoosh this out a bit. There we go. So that's going to be quite a defined line because it's a cast shadow. That's nothing to do with the contours of the face, but we want to make sure that that's quite obvious. And I want a wee bit of it up here as well. I bet y'all weren't expecting this level of depth, were you? That is another advert. This is getting ridiculous. Go away. No. Jan says, just had a request for a view on Colour Cave business. Now what to say? Was that the Trustpilot review, Jan? Was that an email? Please be nice. I love you. Michelle says it cracks up. She's a sheep and cows and totally agree, although I'm not sure about them dying as much. I don't want you to give away your location if you don't want to, Michelle, but I'm pretty sure you're not in Scotland. Unless you've got really hardy breeds here, like the like blackies or something, they're not good at keeping themselves alive. They're really not. That's really interesting, Elise. A roundabout is a rotary in Boston. That's cool. I love learning stuff like that. That's so good. Thea dealt with goats on her grandparents' farm. They stink. It's only the billy goats that smell. The ladies don't smell so much. It's the boys. They're proper stinky. Like, oh, that's a whole different kind of smell. Susan says when you Google the UK's most dangerous animal, it says cows. Agree entirely. Absolutely 100%. And Jan says it was the Trustpilot report. It might be glowing, not it will be, it might be glowing. Well, thanks, Jan. Oh, you're in South Australia, right? Okay. So you have very different terrain and breeds of sheep and a very different environment than we do. Seeing dark, wet, really cold temperatures, sheep are not good. And there's another ad. That is ridiculous. Go away. Patricia loves horses. Nye likes the glasses. Good. We have as farmers, and I'm not sure whether this is just a UK thing or whether that extends to anywhere else in the world. The relationship between equine people and agricultural people can be quite strained. It's not something that we want, but it's just the difference in priorities and having to share ground. That quite often it can cause problems, like when we don't want it to. But when someone says to me, oh, they're a horsey person, I'm like, oh, right, okay, we're going to have to tread carefully. That's kind of like the mindset. I love horses though. Mama Jem loves horses. Like, she's obsessed with horses. She's never had one, she's never ridden one, but she just thinks they're really intelligent, beautiful animals. And I think secretly, if my grandparents had money when she was younger, she would have loved to at least have gone riding or had a horse, and she was never afforded that opportunity, and unfortunately she's too old now. She's got arthritis now, so she wouldn't be able to partake. Okay, I'm quite happy with the slightly derpy sheepy head we've got. I think you can agree that we've got quite a nice sort of three-dimensional feel there. Like, you can see the curvature. We can refine that further. That's absolutely a-okay. But the next part is we're going to move on to this arm. I'm very aware that it's 10 to 5. I can roll over today. I don't need to stop directly at 5. But I can't go too much over. So let's try and get this outline finished. So there's that little comedy sticky out arm. For the cocktail glass, I think I want to grab the lightest blue. I'm thinking about like the old fashioned martini glasses. So I might use the very, very lightest and palest blue in the polychromos, which this very short pencil, the sky blue, just to give us this outline. And I mean, it is pretty pale in the graphite, but let's pop that in. Just now. Trying to draw a martini glass, trying to get those angles like accurate. It's freaking hard work. Right, chat, I need a really quick poll from you, which I'm going to pop up. We are picking the colour of the cocktail umbrella. Do you want it to be pink or purple? I'll just pop this in. Purple. I've just typed cock rail. That's not helpful. Right, there we go. If you could take a wee moment just to vote on that, that would be great. This is the quickest way to get preferences. In the meantime, I am going to go back to this sky blue, and I'm just going to start accentuating some of the floof, for want of a better phrase, on the fleece of our little Suffolk pal here. That's nice. I don't want to use a darker colour because it will be a really stark contrast to the paleness of that ivory pencil that we're using, but I just want to give a little bit of like an indication of the fluffiness, and you can see that that's okay, like that's quite nice. And again, in this area here, we will start to darken down the fleece on this left-hand side because it's away from the light source. But we just want to get that sort of preliminary feel in. And we'll leave this a bit more, especially this edge here. We'll leave that a bit more white, but that's cool. Oh, overwhelmingly pink. Okay, okay. Right, so I've got the feeling that we need like offensive pink. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't even need to look at the swatch book. I'm going to go for the fuchsia, and I'm going to make the umbrella quite big as well. I'm going to step up a little bit again just for light sourceness, and I'm going to go to the pink Madder Lake, and I'm going to use that for the top edge there. Massive umbrella, there we go. So let's use the Madder Lake to just... There we go. I can ask for much more than that. Oh, okay. Thanks for reacting so quickly to the poll, guys. That's amazing. Yeah. Jan says that horses are not intelligent. They are. No, yeah, no, that's just an animal thing. That doesn't make them not intelligent. Now, wait a minute, I need to back up a bit. I've missed quite a lot here. Nye likes the glasses. I'm glad you like the glasses, Nye. The boys are the stinky ones, and you stink a lot when a billy goat just loves ear scratches. Oh, 100%. Elise says there's a channel that interviews lawyers whilst building Lego. Valhalla is the co-creator and he's got a goat farm in Georgia. What a random skill set, but I kind of love it all at the same time. That's funny. Vienna still has horse carriage tours through the inner city. And you smile when you pass horses, and I do say out loud horsey. Jackie worked on a horse farm for many years. We don't call them horse farms here. We call them stables or liveries here, but same thing. Cows are so pretty. You love watching the calves play. There is not a lot cuter than that. Well, see, I always think that the bigger the animal that is still a baby, the cuter it is. Like, have you ever seen baby elephants playing? Like it is, or like baby giant pandas. It's so freaking adorable. And part of it is because they're quite cumbersome. Calves playing is one of my favourite things ever when they're full of nonsense. It's one of the really nice things about having livestock. Like, it really, really is. Elise is a city kid, wanted to be a country girl. You rode horses once when you were 10. The horse went right back to the stall. That's funny. Ah. When Jan was out on Saturday, walked through a field of sheep. Did ask them if they felt more comfy as they'd just been sheared. You'd be amazed to hear they did not reply. I wonder why. If Jem Jem ever visits Vienna, I'll take her on a horse carriage ride through the inner city. I would be more inclined to pet the horse and lead it myself, honestly, than get the carriage. Be like, oh, take pictures of the horses. That's funny. I'll say we do, at the new cave here, we do have a stable which is rented out. We don't run it. But it's very, very nice because obviously I can saunter down anytime I want and chat to the horses that are in the paddocks outside. There was a lovely horse called Rambo, and he was an old boy, and again I've kind of got an affinity for like older animals, and the lady that looked after Rambo was absolutely lovely, and he passed away without much sort of like tromp and fanfare, and we found out after the fact. And I was genuinely so sad because he was one of the horses that when you walked down the road, because all the paddocks like face onto the road that comes into the farm, and even if you drove past, he would come like trotting over and stick his head over the gate just to see who was coming around, you know. And if you got out or if you were walking, he would always come over and like say hey. So I was very sad when he passed. He was quite old though. And the lady that looked after him, she was absolutely lovely. Like, she's such a nice person. And I was kind of sad because we wouldn't see her again after that. And Mr. Jem told me just recently that she's got another horse and she's back. I haven't bumped into her yet though, but I'm secretly like quite happy about that. So I'll be eager to meet the next horse that she's got. Because they take, especially at the weekends, we tend to bump into them when I'm walking the dogs, and we always respectfully tuck ourselves into the side. And that's another advert. Oh my god, guys, this is ridiculous. We always kind of like stop and wait for the horses to go past if they're going on a hack or whatever. And this lady always stopped and chatted away to us and said hello and stuff. So I'm super happy that she's back. And I can't wait to meet her body. Right, I'm grabbing the Castle Arts pastel tint pencil. This is Foxglove, and I'm just going to use this to smooth out the top side again, just purely on the basis of. Hang on a second, I need to concentrate here, guys. Purely on the basis of light source. There we go. I'll pop a little bit in that middle section, and then I'll go over it with this. What did you say this was? Carmine? No, the Pink Madder, sorry. Pink Madder. Make sure we get the forks in the umbrella. So this is like a gradient. I never thought I would spend so much time on a cocktail umbrella, honestly. But you can see we've got this dark edge and it's fading through quite nicely. That's what we want. It's all good. The entire farm would stop training to watch the cows play. Yeah. Patty had her horse for 27. I remember you telling me about your horse, Patty. But the lady that actually runs the stables, unfortunately she lost her horse not that long ago. And the lady that runs the stables, I think, I'm only putting an estimate on it, but I think she's probably early to mid-30s. And she had her horse for 18 years and she had to have him put down a couple of weeks ago, and she was devastated. Like, it's such a long time to have a companion, and for them not to be there after that, so hard, like so hard. And she was really, really upset, so I understand that. Oh, Elise, you're having a little bit of a reminisce about your cat. I understand that too. Oh, it's hard, but do you know what? It gets easier. It does get easier, and it is very easy to say that as someone who hasn't lost a pet in the last, couple of months. But I promise you, you'll always still have those thoughts, and you'll always have emotional moments. But it gets easier to cope with. I think anyway, that might just be me. But the circumstance that I lost Mist in was devastating, and I got there eventually. It just takes time. Ulrika felt bad enough. One of her tropical fish died. Oh no. 5 years, that's a long time for a fish. It does make you sad though. Oh, Patty's sending you hugs, Elise. Oh, that's so nice. They do, like they really, really do. It's hard. It is hard. On an I was going to say unrelated subject. On a sort of related subject. Last night was the first time. Sorry to fracture my narrative here. I was going to grab my mauve pencil again, and I don't know where it's gone. But like, do you know the way I'm looking down if I dropped it on the floor? Because that's what happens. I don't remember my mauve pencil is. I just wanted to. No, right, okay, never mind. I'll deal with that next time. Yeah, last night I've had a really horrible bout of like sleeping and not sleeping recently, and it's been quite disruptive. And I couldn't really figure out because there was a while there where my sleeping was just it was terrible, and I do go in fits and starts like I've never been. For those that are interested, this is the Delft Blue. I'm just using this as a placeholder just now, and I'll go over it with the mauve. I try not to take it too seriously because I tend to go in fits and starts, and last night was the first night in about 2.5 months where I had a nightmare about my friend that passed away in November. And those nightmares were very, very lucid and very graphic and very uncomfortable. And it kind of like caught me off guard because it's been so long since I've had that particular dream. And it kind of like knocked me off kilter a wee bit. Like it took me ages to recover from it. And this was in the middle of the night. I made a point of not looking at the clock. I was like, I don't even want to know what time it is. But that took me like a substantial time to get my heart rate back to normal, stop my eyes leaking, and like settle myself down to go back to sleep. And it was just such a curveball. It was so weird. And I managed not to disturb Mr. Jem, which was great, but it's one of those things where it doesn't matter whether it's a pet or a person or whatever, but you think you're doing okay sometimes, and it completely sideswipes you, and all of a sudden you're put in that momentary panic, like, Christ, what do I do with this? Am I losing it? Am I okay? Is this just a blip? And it takes a wee bit of time to like kind of sort yourself out, or as we would say, have a word with yourself. Really not a nice feeling. So I understand that entirely. At least sometimes it just kind of like overcomes you, and you don't really know what to do with it. And honestly, I think that's normal. Like I really, really do. I think it's a perfectly normal process. And I do think we need to normalise things like that. For me just now, although I mean I feel, I won't say that I feel myself because I don't think it, like I think what's happened with Glyn has changed me permanently as a person. I don't think I'll ever be the person I was, but I feel much more like myself now than I did even like 2 months ago. And I don't think that you ever get over things like that. I think you just learn to deal with it, and it presents to you, or you perceive it in a different way. That's how I would put it. Definitely, definitely. And I am very tolerant because that was, for me, obviously, it was devastating, but it was so, it just totally came out of left field. And until you've experienced that closeness with a being, whether it's animal or human or something else, and for it to be ripped out from under you, you never know how you're going to be in that situation until it actually happens. And my reaction to what happened with Glyn was very different to my reaction what happened with my first dog, who we had to have put down very suddenly. And I am very aware and tolerant of those kind of episodes is the wrong word because that has a very negative connotation, but if all of these overwhelming feelings come really quickly, like I understand it better for people now. And I hate it when people say, oh, it's just a cat, or it's just a dog, or it's just a horse, or it was your second cousin's best friend. That has nothing to do with it. So I'm really sorry, Elise, but you know, you've got to look at it for what it is. and understand that it's normal, and in time it will be a nice thing. You'll be able to look back with fond memories as opposed to the grief connotations as well. Like, definitely, definitely, definitely. That's just my opinion, but you know, I've had quite extensive dealings with death in the last even year. I feel as if I have some authority to speak on this. But it's also part of life as well. And being a farmer, you realise that, you know, life is as important as death. It's part of a cycle. But when it happens suddenly and you've got no warning of it, it makes it so much harder as a human to deal with, definitely. Right, so we are going to pop in this dark colour here. So thinking about perspective here, although our light source is coming this way, the feet are like poking up away from the fleece, so that there's going to be a huge portion of this that's really dark. So I'm just going straight in with the Payne's grey, no messing about. Get that really sharp, yeah. And then I'm going to take the lightest grey, which was the cold grey one, and I'm just going to use that basically as a blender. Oh yeah, nice, 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 nice. Like it. I don't know what I'm going to do about fixing this though. Might have to go back in with the Delft blue. Slim that foot down a little bit. Yeah, okay. So the shadow's going to be on this side. If the light's coming this way, it's going to bounce off the neck part and this weird inside bit. And to compensate that, I'm going to grab the pastel tint pencil. I need the Wisteria one, which is, oh, it's over here. I was going to say it's also disappeared. It hasn't. It's right here. And I'm just going to smooth that out. I feel as if I'm going to have to do a bit of correcting with Photoshop. I'm dropping my pencils. Jeebus. Okay, so we're doing quite well here in terms of the outline. We've got the bendy straw to do. I'm going to do that at the very, very end because that is going to be one continuous pencil stroke. And I kind of don't want to upset the equilibrium right now. It is hard to lose our animal family, absolutely. 5 years is good going. They live between 2 and 5 years. Oh, okay. So top end of the tenure. I like it. And Jackie's just moved from her phone to her computer, and that is a pretty green shirt. Thank you. It is like a minty green. I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream. Mr. Jem calls it my ice cream parlour shirt, and I kind of like that name. I like it. Sometimes moments they just kind of like slap you in the face, don't they, Jackie? Yeah, you don't get over it, you get on with it. That is a very succinct way to put it, Michelle. I like that. Oh, Elise is saying you understand you lost your cousin. I'm so sorry, but yeah, 3/4 asleep and dreaming. Yeah. It's another ad. It's ridiculous. Susan saying, I totally agree. When I lost my son, oh, it was unexpected, and you do see the world differently. You really, Susan, you really, really do. Like, I couldn't agree with that more. The situation with my friend Glyn. Glyn, I have a separate friendship. I don't even know if that should be in past tense now, but I'm never going to use that in past tense. I have a separate relationship, sorry, with Glyn's mum. And I've had the funny anecdote that I tell is I actually lived with Kath for a little while, like randomly. But we have a strong relationship, and that's always been independent of my relationship with Glyn. And Kath had another baby after she had Glyn, so that would have been Glyn's younger brother, and he died very soon after birth. And Kath had two boys at one point and now she has none. And that, like, that's really, really hard to process. And I can only imagine, Susan, what that has done for you and how that's affected you. And you know, obviously being close to Kath, we talk about things like this, and I see what that has done. So I'm really sorry, like I really, really am. And she thinks about her other son, that's not Glenn, a lot, obviously. But this has just kind of compounded things, and I can't even begin to imagine it. But I hate people that poo poo stuff like that unless you have been in someone else's shoes. Like, you have absolutely no authority to judge or make comment on how people cope or react to things like that. And Glyn is the first person that I've been really close to, apart from my gran, which was Mama Jem's mum. Glyn is the first person close to me that I've lost. It's really different when you lose someone that is old. Gran, Gran was nearly 90. I know she was 98. Yeah, she was 98 when she died. Like, she'd had a lovely, long and fruitful life. That is a completely different thing to losing a pet or a person as a baby or younger than their life expectancy. Like, it's not the same thing, and it changes that grief perspective for you, and it also changes you as a person. I don't care what anyone says, and I wouldn't want to go back to the person that I was, because what has happened to me has extended my compassion and my broad-mindedness as a person, and has extended my, I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, my resilience. So, you know, there's good things to come out of these things, but it doesn't mean that they're good things, if you know what I mean. Just, yeah, like, oh, man. Jackie talks about her soul dog. Yes, like, Mist was my soul dog. I get that too. Oh, well, we're getting into, like, we're getting into the depths here. It is 12 minutes past 5. I do think, and I've said this before, guys, like, I think it's really important to talk about stuff like this, and I don't want anyone to think that they're dragging the chat down or whatever, because it's like, it's much, much, much healthier to talk about these things in a controlled environment like this than it is to, like, fester away, because it doesn't do you any good at all. So please feel free. And to be fair, like, I think we are collectively quite a sort of emotive and tolerant bunch. If anyone doesn't feel like that, then you can piss off out the chat. But yeah, you know, it's part of life though, and you have to develop coping mechanisms. And one of the things I learned about myself and about my mental health when I wasn't well was, one of my main coping mechanisms is just being able to voice what I'm saying. I don't need someone to fix it for me. I don't need advice on where I should go from here. Just being able to verbalise all the noodles that are going on in my brain has really, really helped me deal with grief. And I would openly encourage it, and I don't want it to be seen as a downer or dragging everyone else away, because it's actually not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. It just doesn't need to be perceived that way, or, you know, have that sort of stigma attached to it. And I would really, really like to get away from that generally, because I feel it's not really doing us a favour as a, you know, as a race. Okay, we've got some comedy feet that are completely different sizes, so let's beef this one up to match this one up here. Comedy Bigfoot, why not? This is fun. For Elise, it makes you realise what with you think about your loved ones. Text them. Yep. We can get bogged down in our day to day. Yep. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Never feel like you can't ask to change topics if it gets too heavy. That is also a valid point, Thea. Definitely. Definitely. And that's the thing though. Jackie's saying it's nice to have a place to know that you aren't alone. Death affects all of us, and even from the chat, in really, really different ways. It doesn't mean that we can't be in a safe space together and talk about it. And it doesn't matter whether it's a tropical fish, it doesn't matter whether it's your 98-year-old grandmother who has lived, like three lives of some other people. It doesn't matter. But to be able to voice that and not be judged for it, like, that is so valuable to me. Like, that really aligns with my principles and how I feel about things. And obviously my latest bereavement with Glyn was, I mean, it was shocking and it was devastating. Like, it really was heartbreaking, and I'm in the best way. And funnily enough, I sent Papa Jem, and most of you will know that Papa Jem and I are quite close. We're also very similar in personality. And what that results in is we either get along like a house on fire and we're thick as thieves, or we literally like want to throw things at each other because we've got that fiery temper. There's no like middle ground. We either absolutely worship the ground each other walk on, or we want to stab each other. And Papa Gem's not one for fanfare or grand gestures or anything. That's another ad coming up. And like, see if you give him a birthday card, he kind of like rolls his eyes. That's the kind of person he is. So on Father's Day, I sent him a text message and I was like, look, Dad, I know that you and I don't always see eye to eye, and we, like, when we fight, like, we really go at it, but I just want you to know I think you're a great dad, I love you, but more importantly, especially over the last like year, if I hadn't had you to talk to about Glyn, I might not have been in the position I'm in now, because at one point I actually thought I was losing my mind. And his reply was, well, that was nice. But he meant that genuinely, and that was his way of responding and acknowledging that I was acknowledging that he was a good dad and that it's good to talk. And that he didn't want a Father's Day card. So I do think it's really important. And Dad and I, being over communicative, like Italian lineage, we do over communicate, and it's usually not in a good way, but we also acknowledge that, and I like really, really appreciate that, because there's loads of times, like especially I would say just after Christmas, because Mr. Jem was in the hospital, like he was really, really unwell, and if I hadn't had someone just to like vomit out everything that was going on in my brain, I was fairly convinced that I was on the verge of a second nervous breakdown. And being a veteran of that, I didn't want to go there again. So important to be able to go to someone with that communication. And if that is in our chat here on these Wednesday live streams, I'm honoured and happy for that to happen, like 100%. And I mean that with all sincerity for all of you. And it doesn't matter what the situation is, like 100% doesn't matter. Nobody's alone here. We've got hugs for everyone. Oh, hello, Dalek Widow. I didn't see you sneak in either. Thank you for coming in with hugs. It's honestly, guys, it's all good. Oh, at least that's so nice. Elise said she was so worried about me sending support thoughts. And I really appreciate that, but I kind of had to process it and deal with it in my own way, and I think I've done reasonably well with it in the grand scheme of things. Hmm. Yeah, you can totally get like caught up in your own brain, and I personally, I don't think that's healthy either. Right, I would just like to say, I know this has been quite a heavy conversation, but can everyone in the chat give us a round of other hands for support for people that are lost and loved, not forgotten? Because I think everyone deserves all the other hands for that. For those of you that haven't been present either, you will notice I'm sporting this rather delicate bangle for me. I normally go for like the chunky jewelry. This cuff here is very special because this pattern that you can see is actually Glenn's ashes that have been hammered into the silver. So he's literally in here and he's with me all the time. And the inscription on the inside, it reads, "Your wings were ready, but my heart was not." And I just felt that that was really fitting. And I I specifically got this in a little bit more delicate than I would normally wear because I will wear it every day. And we often made the joke that Glenn was my right hand man and I'm left handed, so obviously that's funny. But he is literally like right there all the time. And this has been like a weird coping mechanism for me. It was hard to get this done for various reasons, but now that it's here, I'm really glad that I've got it, because having him like as ashes in a little urn up on the shelf, on this side here, up on the shelf next to where the glowing pencil is, there's my favourite picture of Glenn and his little urn was kind of like sitting beside it, and it honestly felt like it was like getting like a bit of a shrine, which I'm not into that kind of stuff. Like, I found it a bit weird. So I feel that this is much better, and although it was hard to get there, I'm glad that he's here. And this has been a huge part of the process of moving on from the death. And it's weird how everyone's got different coping mechanisms, but that's a thing that I'm really proud to have. I'm glad to have, and I don't generally mention it. If someone says to me, "Oh, your bracelet's really nice," then I'll say, "Oh well, funny story behind that. This is my friend here." But generally, it's only there for me. But I'm so glad that I've got it, and it provides a bit of comfort actually. Look at all the other hands. Yes, you guys are amazing. So good. So good. It can be a conversation starter. Yes, it definitely is. People are like, oh, well, okay. And you're like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. No other hands on my phone right now. Hearts to all. Okay, yes, Michelle, I'll take the sparkly hearts. That is a perfectly acceptable alternative. Right, okay, guys, I think we might be done for today. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the left forearm situation here with this little dude. I might just pretend he's got it tucked into his fleece or something, and then we've got the bendy straw. So next live stream, there will not be a WIP Wednesday next Wednesday. That is the day before Mama Jem is arriving, and I'm quite busy with work next week, but the following Wednesday will be the one that will finish this off, and then I will get the sticker production in progress. In the meantime, there will be a video coming. I'm hoping to have it out on Sunday, at the very latest Tuesday, and we've got our weird impromptu pastel tint swatchy stream that will be coming up too, which I promise will happen. I just don't know when. I'm waiting on Mr. Jem for that one. But either way, I'm quite enjoying the time that we've got in the cave just now. This has all been really good fun, and I'm kind of excited for the upcoming Let's Explore the art supplies in the cave, because there's tons of stuff like just lying about here. And you know what I'm like I get quite sort of animated and quite excited once I get going with things, so I'm fully looking forward to that. But I'm so pleased that we're so close to finishing this little sticker with Baaasil. I think that this one might be my favourite. I'm not supposed to show favouritism with my stickers, but this is coming pretty close. It's a llama with massive eyelashes, and there's a bendy straw, and yeah, why would it not be my favourite? Come on, guys. So yeah, I want to thank you all very much for coming and hanging out. Again, like, pretty heavy conversations today, but in an entirely positive way. And I always feel it's like a nice safe space that we've got, and I always want everyone to feel that they've got that. For sure. And I think that we're very, very, very lucky in this little live stream. And I know it's a small live stream, but we never or very rarely have any problems with trolls or whatever. And I, for one, am very grateful for that, and just for having our cave community. So I am going to leave you at that. And I'm going to go and make sure, number one, the doggos are okay, and maybe try and get a hold of Mr. Jem, see what if he's fixed his tractor and what's going on. And I am going to go and get in the bath and have my little pampering session for myself. So I hope to see you all very soon back in the cave for either a video or a stream. I'm sure I'll see most of you at some point. And I want you to enjoy what's left of your day, whether that's most of it or not very much of it. And just chill out. And I think from the conversations we've had here, be thankful, be grateful, and hug your loved ones really tight. And I'll see you again really soon, guys. See you later, everyone. I hope you have a good day. Bye for now.